Happy Monday. Happy Monday. It's going to be a different kind of show again. I just want to put that out there early. So happy Monday. Welcome to the 6th episode of season 3 of the Be Your Own Hero show. Yeah, just making sure I got that right. Yeah, 6th episode of season 3. HERO is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. I'm just hearing it back to myself. Helping everyone reaps optimism. Helping everyone reaps optimism. And the HERO movement, the HERO ministry movement, is my effort to uplift and inspire the unhoused community through a number of different ways. It has expanded dramatically over the past year, including this show and many other things. So thank you for being here with me, for joining my journey of becoming my own hero, of being my own hero. Shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me the space and opportunity to talk about my journey of being my own hero. And I'm here Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. And what is that? That's 8:45 a.m. Central and 7:45 a.m. Mountain. Okay, so that's all I got. That's all I have in terms of the introductory notes. Oh, quick disclaimer, I'm not a personal trainer, nor am I a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence. And let's get into it. So this is going to be an update. That's what this episode is going to be, an update episode from my last episode, Friday, and then over the weekend, and kind of what's going on with me now. And so the reason I seem a little off is because right up until the show started, I was still trying to decide what I was going to talk about. If I was going to talk about this, if I'm going to talk about that, and am I going to announce that? So I'm just going to go with it. This is going to be a free flow Monday. So if you did not see my episode on Friday, then you missed all the drama. So I started Friday's episode late, and I was out of breath, and I was freezing. I didn't even mention that, but I was freezing. During the episode, I was sitting on my hands to warm my hands up because my fingers were numb from being in the ice. But what happened was I ended up helping a neighbor. I ended up helping a neighbor. I'm going to retell the story because now that it's settled, there are some parts of the story that I think are more significant than others that I left out, and then some other parts that I can skip past. So I'm going to retell the story, and then I'm going to give an update. So that's what we're doing. Let me see if there's anyone in the chat. I need to shout out. Yep, shout out to Gladys. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Shout out to Nan. I appreciate you being here live. And shout out to everybody who's going to check out the show later. Okay, so here's the story. It snowed in Nashville, and I went running despite the snow because that's the frequency I'm on. I'm on a everyday frequency despite the obstacles because that is the muscle I'm building in my mind. Despite the obstacles, let's move forward. So that's my personal goal. And that's why I've been able to do a run streak for as long as I have. Today is day 224 of me running every day. That's why. And usually I run outside. Again, that's why. More obstacles. It's more difficult. Okay, so I go running in the snow, and I ran a different route that morning, and someone waved. An elderly gentleman waved to me, and I waved back. This is not uncommon, especially, not especially anywhere. It happens often where people wave to me when I'm out running in the morning. They wave, they shout words of encouragement, etc. So I thought that was this. So I waved back, gave a thumbs up, kept it moving. I did hear him. I heard something after that, but I had my headphones on, and I just assumed he's still encouraging me. And I could have responded more quickly, is my point there. But anyway, I ran. I tried to go the route that I wanted to go, but it was too icy, so I doubled back and came back the same way. The man was in the same position, waving and calling out more emphatically this time. And so I'm not going to lie, I was a little unnerved. I wasn't sure what was happening at this point. So just to be in integrity, I didn't respond immediately. I was cautious, let's say that. And so I took my headphones off. And once I took my headphones off, I heard him say something about slipped. And so then I ran across the parking lot. The parking lot, for context, is massive. It's like the parking lot at a stadium or something. It's a really big parking lot. And the facility where he came from is on the other side of the parking lot. He was in the middle. I run over to him. He says that he slipped and fell on the ice, can't get up. He's up on one knee. And I have lifted many elderly people at this point in my life. That's not something I'm unfamiliar with. So I figured easy breezy. I mean, you cross your wrist, reach out, grab their wrist, lean back, pull forward. I figured this will take a couple seconds. That did not work. He came halfway, then went back down. So we tried a number of things. I tried to pull him up a number of different ways. I tried to get under his arm, tried his other arm, put the cane down, use the cane. We just couldn't figure it out. And so ultimately I asked him if he thought he could make it to the tree that was nearby. He said he could. He got to the tree, and what we did is we had him hold the lowest branch of the tree with both hands. And then he pulled while I pulled him up. Right? And that got him upright all the way, but he couldn't put pressure. He couldn't get his feet flat. I guess that's the best way to put it. He couldn't get his feet flat, and he said he had to let go. And I was like, no, hold on. He said, no, I gotta let go. I said, no, hold on. And we ended up falling at that point. So at that point, I was like, all right, I got to get help. And he was laying in the snow, and I made him cover his head with his hat, and I pulled his jacket up over that so that the snow couldn't get to his head. And that's when I asked him where he lived, and he pointed to the facility at the far end of the parking lot, and I ran over there. So I got there, the front desk was dark, the front door was locked, and I started banging on the door in hopes that somebody would respond. But in the meantime, I discovered a phone, like there's a phone box on the front porch. So I grabbed that phone, I dialed 0, I dialed 411, I dialed the number that he had shouted to me when I first started running. I didn't know what that number was, but I dialed it anyway. And there was not no answer, but just no sound. And so ultimately, I ended up dialing 911 just to see if the phone worked or if I needed to do something else. I dialed 911. 911 operator answers immediately and says, "What's your emergency?" And now I pause because I'm thinking about the optics. So I'm thinking about I'm a tall black man in a black hoodie. This man is writhing on the ground. I didn't feel comfortable having the police come because I wasn't sure how they would react. So I thought about it for a second and I hung up on the 911 operator. And then I saw the number that was written on the call box itself. So I called that number. That number went to another building that is part of the same facility. The woman who answered identified herself as a nurse, but also said that she couldn't help. I asked all kinds of questions to find out something that she could do to help the situation. And, her responses were just about, I can't. And mostly she was just interested in who I was and me identifying myself and being able to see me. She wanted me to move to the chairs on the front porch so that she could see me. I didn't know what that had to do with anything, but it's important because it made me aware of the chairs, the fact that there were chairs on the porch. So I ultimately hung up on her, not in an angry way, but just in a, okay, this is a dead end, I need to move on kind of way. So I hung up, I took a breath. I could see Mr. Charles out there in the parking lot waving. I couldn't too far away to hear, but I could see him waving. And I wasn't sure what to do. The phone rings immediately. And I think the nurse has changed her mind. She's called back. So I answer, and it's 911 dispatch. they're calling back because I called in. And so I had a gentle, precise conversation with the dispatcher saying, listen, this is not an emergency. I don't need police. I just need help. And I am a black man in a black hoodie. I wanted to be very specific about what they would see when they arrived. And ultimately, he suggested the fire department. Thought that was a great idea. And so he put in a call to the fire department while I was on the line, and we gave them all the information. Okay. So by the time I finished that and I got back to Mr. Charles, Mr. Horace had arrived. He actually works at the facility and was just showing up for work and saw someone waving in the parking lot and assumed that it was a homeless person that needed help. That's the word he used. I've now learned to use the word unhoused. But he just assumed that this was somebody that needed help and didn't recognize Mr. Charles until he got closer. Okay, so I come over. The two of us get him up easily, but Mr. Charles can't stay. He can't stay on his feet. So Mr. Horace says he wishes that he had a chair. Then I remembered the chairs, so I ran for the chairs, got one, brought it back, and we got him settled. And it was at that point that the fire department showed up. And just to give a shout out to them, it was Station 27 of the local fire department that showed up, and they got him sorted in short order. We got him out of the chair and up into the back of the pickup truck, over to the facility, into a wheelchair, and into his apartment. Last I saw him, he was on his sofa, comfortable and happy with his remote controls. So that's the story, condensed. Okay. So obviously he's been on my mind quite a bit since then. So all that happened Friday. Saturday is the day that we usually run for Black Men Run. And because of the ice and snow, they canceled the run. But I reached out to Antoine, who I've mentioned here before, who is the person who inspired me to do a run streak. When I first met him, he was on like day 900 of his run streak. Yeah, you heard me right, 900. So I knew he was going to run. So I reached out to him and I asked him how many miles was he doing. He said 10 miles. I was like, come on, man. Come on. Let's do 3 to 5. And he was like, nah, I'm sticking with 10. So Saturday morning, I got up and out with the intention of running 3 to 5, but I'm thinking about the fact that Antoine's going to run 10. So I was like, well, I'll try for 10. So this is important also. So I decided to try for 10 miles. And I also decided to run past the facility where Mr. Charles was, where he lived. So I ran past. It was too early to knock on the door or anything, but I ran past just to lay eyes on it. I kept running much further than I would typically go. And in the process of running this route much further than I would typically go, I found a wallet. And so I held on to that wallet and I kept running. And as I kept running, more people were like, hey, which again is what I mentioned earlier in this episode. People tend to wave at me and encourage me when they see me out running. So because of Friday's experience, I just wanted to make sure they were okay. Or yeah, just keep going. And in the process of that, I saw an unhoused woman who was very cold and seemed to be in need. Okay, so I ran my full 10 miles, my first solo 10 miles. I'm very proud of myself for that. I would not have done it if he hadn't challenged me to run 10 miles. But I did my full 10 miles, and I'm still thinking about the woman I saw, the unhoused woman. So I got back, and I went back to where she was. I drove back to where she was to give her some of the stuff from the car. You remember me talking about the truck drops? Well, I had food and foodstuffs like tuna and potato chips and stuff like that from the 4th annual Hoodies for the Homeless event. So I still had some of that stuff in my mom's car. So I drove my mom's car back over to where the woman was, and she was gone, but her pallet was there. So I left some foodstuffs on her pallet, and then I found another pallet. And so I left some foodstuffs on that pallet. And then since I was over that way, I decided to drive on over to check on Mr. Charles. So I get there, and there were a group of elderly folks at the front door who didn't want to let me in at first. Shout out to them. And until, we're talking through the door, they came to understand that I was the person that found Mr. Charles. They were like, oh, okay. And they opened the door and we talked. Turns out Mr. Charles is in the hospital. His foot is broken, and he went to the hospital later that same day, later on Friday. One of them came to visit him, and he couldn't stand, and they called the hospital, and so he's in the hospital. His sister is involved. Okay, so that's what happened. One of the residents told me all that, and she made sure to get my number. We exchanged numbers so she could keep me updated on what happened with Mr. Charles. And so that's a whole thing. And I'm going to circle back to that in a second. And as I was leaving the facility, I ran into someone else who needed help in a much smaller way. She was trying to clean snow off of her car with a spatula. Yes, a kitchen spatula. So little moment of levity in all this kind of heaviness. And I was like, come on, let me help you. She's like, no, I got it. I was like, come on, let me help you. Get out the way with that little spatula. Trying to like pancake the snow off of her car. So anyway, I used something that my mom has in her car to brush snow off. And also, once I started helping her, she started asking if I knew a mechanic, because there was something on the car she needed to have fixed. And so I ended up connecting her with a mechanic. So that became a whole interaction in and of itself. So busy Saturday. So that got squared away. And then I set about trying to find the owner of the wallet I found. So I found her on Facebook. There are only 2 people with that name that I could find. I sent a message to both of them. One of them responded back very quickly, said, yes, I've been looking for it. Thanks so much. And so we met at a coffee shop, and I returned her wallet. Turns out she was just visiting Nashville and needed her wallet and her ID in order to board the flight back. So she was desperately looking for the wallet. No, I don't know how it ended up, where it ended up. Someone asked me that on social media. I don't know. But she'd only been missing it the night before. And to be clear, if I had not run 10 miles, I never would have run far enough to have found the wallet. So there's that serendipity. And I mentioned on social media that my mom calls these divine appointments. So the Mr. Charles situation was a divine appointment. And now here was a second divine appointment. So Friday and Saturday. So anyway, got our wallet back. And then, is that it for Saturday? I think that's it for Saturday. It was a very busy day. And then I got a text message from the facility where Mr. Charles works, the woman that I exchanged information with. She texted me to say, God bless you in all that you're doing. I just read the article about you. And I was like, there's an article about me? And she's like, yeah, you're in the paper. I recognize you from when you stopped by to check on Mr. Charles. And so this is funny because someone had emailed me about me being in the paper, but my mom and I had gone to the newspaper website. We didn't see anything, and then we stopped thinking about it. But apparently I am, in fact, in the paper. That woman that reached out to me is going to keep a couple copies for me at the facility. So I'm going to stop by at some point today to pick those up and also see if there's any updates with Mr. Charles. Okay. So I feel like I was going fast, but I just kind of wanted to get through all of it. So those are all the things that happened, right? And this is where Spirit is leading me. So I've said that since I stopped running for other people, that my run hasn't felt the same. And I said that I've been invited to do a couple of different charity runs, and I'm trying to figure that out. And I feel like this is it. This is it for me. That this is my next charity run. I am going to dedicate the next portion of my run streak to raising funds for Mr. Charles, because when the fire department first showed up, he tried to wave them off because he didn't want the expense. Now, to be clear, they did not charge anything, but because he thought they might have charged something, he wanted to wave them off. So I think, finances may be a concern now that he's in the hospital. And I told the longer story, or the more detailed story, about our efforts to get him sorted, because I can't be 100% sure that my efforts to help him didn't also cause more harm than good. I just can't know. So I feel in some way responsible. So that said, I'm dedicating this next portion of my run streak to raising money for Mr. Charles. I will probably use the same platform that I used before. I'll set it up soon and let you guys know. But if any of you are interested in helping me help him, I greatly appreciate it. And again, I appear to be connected with the people at that facility. And so there'll be more updates forthcoming. And I'll keep you posted. Maybe we can send some cards or something. I don't know, but I just feel I feel activated to do something in this space, something more in this space. Okay, so there we go. That was my weekend, and that's my now, and that is what will be the next piece of my charity run. And I can't wait to see the article. I believe the article is about my charity run, so I can't wait to check that out. Okay, all that said, moving on. I don't even know if I'm going to get to money today because there's a couple other things I want to say. But moving on, I have mentioned a couple times that I am inviting you out there in the viewing audience to join me in a streak of your choosing. And over the weekend, that came to fruition very quickly. Several people have reached out now. So we are now a band of 4, 5 if you include me. So we've got me. I'm obviously still running at least a mile a day, every day. We've got Rev Melissa. She's doing a meditation streak. We've got Andrea. She's doing a Peloton bike riding streak. We've got Cooter's wife. That's her handle on social media. I don't know her actual name, but she reached out to say that she's going to run a mile a day. A mile a day? No, she's going to run daily. She's going to run daily. And then we've got Carolyn in North Carolina. She's going to walk 10 minutes every day. So I invite you to join in if you feel so moved. So just to clarify what we're doing, the idea is to choose a very small thing that you want to do consistently for the next 30 days. Actually, maybe not the next 30 days, because people are starting at different times. So just for now, think about what it is you want to commit to. And obviously, from the list I just gave you, we've got quite a range of things. It could be anything. It could be as small as drinking a glass of water. It's important to keep it small, because at the end of the day, if you forget and you remember at the end of the day, it ought to be something that you can knock out easily. It ought to be very manageable in your mind. So whatever your initial thought was, downsize it and keep it very small. You should be focused on the 30 consecutive days as opposed to the size of whatever it is. Keep it small, keep it manageable. And be accountable. Send me a text message. There's my alarm. Send me a text message, email, selfie. Just let me know that you did it. Send me some kind of mission accomplished message. Just as a sense of accountability to you, to help you move forward. And if you choose, post something on social media about your streak, because I guarantee you in the early days, you'll get a lot of support on your streak from social media. I use that myself at the beginning of my streak. So all call. Anybody interested in joining now 5 of us doing a streak, please do. It's the beginning of the year, new you, new goals. I want you to choose something very small, commit to it for 30 days, and join us. Okay. So, did I cover everything? For the seminar, my Get Rich 101 seminar, I decided to interview people, to talk to people about who are subject matter experts in some of the things that we've talked about. So that's my intention. I will reach out to some folks to see who I can get. I'm still targeting January 22nd as the first one. And now I'm thinking of it as a series of talks where I talk to people who have a little more information to impart than I do. I hope I've been helpful in talking about my journey of financial abundance, but also let's bring in some big guns. Let's get some real info. Let's really build out the knowledge base. Okay, so I think that's everything. Yeah, so in terms of money, in terms of wealth abundance, I really didn't prepare anything for today. So I'll just say this. Be wary of conventional wisdom about finances. I came across that in a book over the weekend, and it really resonated with me because it seems to underscore everything we've talked about. Be wary of conventional wisdom. So if everybody knows about it, if everybody's talking about it and it's about money, be cautious. Do your own research because there's probably a better solution out there. Okay, that's it. Let me hop into the chat, see what's going on. Morning, Linda. Good morning, Tim. There's that cup of coffee. Where's the water, man? Where's the water? No water pressure today. I appreciate it. Appreciate that, Gladys. I appreciate you calling me a hero. Thank you, Nan. Yeah, it was quite a moving situation. And again, it is my intention to help out further as much as I can. Oh, Gladys is on too. Great. And we got another person on the street. So we're up to 6 people riding an indoor bike for 30 minutes every day. Fantastic. Okay. And good morning, Karen. Okay. So yeah, I guess I'm ending the show early for a change today. Just to recap. Thanks, Tim. Just to recap, I am inviting you to join the streak of whatever streak you want to do. Join me in that. I'm also creating a new charity run specifically for Mr. Charles. And it just shocked me to know that he was really injured and in the hospital. So I'm going to dedicate the run streak to him. And for those of you who've asked about the nurse, I mean, prayers up for the nurse. We don't know what she's going through. And also, the word is out there. The word is out. I've told this story on this show and on social media, and so we will believe that whatever needs to happen within the organization, within the facility, will happen. So on that note, prayers up for Mr. Charles in the hospital, and we're giving prayers up for a safe recovery, for quick, efficient healing of his foot. And I'm grateful to the universe for putting me in the place to have a divine appointment with Mr. Charles and with the young lady who lost her wallet on Saturday. So 2 divine appointments in 1 weekend. Ashe and amen. Stay tuned for prayer time coming up at 10:15, and then stay tuned for Sip with Rev Melissa coming up at 10:30. I'll be producing, and maybe I'll pop in to say a few words. Keep doing. Be a hero. Be your own hero, and you never know when you will be called to be a hero in your space. So be aware, and remember that now is better than perfect.